everyone. In this video I'm going to share you some information on how to get the best out of a Boss Katana amplifier, with showing 3+1 tricks you might not been aware of before. And hopefully these will be useful for not only for those guys who already own a Katana, but for those who are considering to purchase one in the future. So let's start. So my first advice is to crank up the master volume to the max. Easy. So you can see on the panel, now it's on max, and you can scale down the volume to the desired level using the power control switch on the amplifier. So the biggest benefit of Boss Katana amps that they are using a Class AB analog power amp, which works in synergy with the tube logic approach or technology. And the goal with these is to get the best possible dynamic response and play feel from the amplifier. So it works pretty similar like tube amps work. You have to crank up the amp to have a decent sound and play feel. And it's very hard to demonstrate the play feel because you have to feel it, but I can demonstrate the dynamic response. What I'm going to do is just use the one preset from the Katana, which is a kind of drive tone with a little bit of delay, and I will play with the volume knob on the guitar and the pickup selector to change my tone. So this is basically the basic tone. It's an overdrive tone. And you can clean it up with the volume, with lowering the volume on the guitar. And you still have that nice sustain, natural sustain. So actually you can do it with every Katana stage amp from the Katana 50 Gen 3 upwards. Katana amps have over 60 effects inside, built in this little box. So these are organized into 5 FX blocks, and within each FX block you have 3 options to use, which means you can use 15 effects simultaneously. And it's really easy to handle this because, for instance, if I activate the FX, there's a little LED here, and there's a green, a red, and an orange setting. So now the green is a phaser. The red one is a tremolo. And the orange one is a chorus. So it's pretty straightforward, and it's true for each of the 5 FX blocks. But the good thing that you can customize your amplifier to your own taste. You just need to open the editor software or the app, and then you can do virtually anything. So it's like, editor is like, I can call it like a big music store where there are all the nice effect pedals on the shelf, and you just grab one and put in your amps. Like, you can customize your pedalboard, which we guitar players like it very much to do very often. So let me show you an example. For example, this is the FX parameter block. You just select it here, and then you can select which channel you want to change, like the green, the red, or the orange. So now we are at the green, which was originally a phaser. You can click here and select from a wide variety of effects here. So if you want to have a rotary, then just select the rotary, and now your green is a rotary. If you switch to the orange, you can, okay, don't need a tremolo. Maybe we need a slow gear. You activate it, you can set it up as you wish, and now you have a slow gear. Nice. And you can do the same for the orange. It's a chorus, but how about using a univibe? So it's really easy. You can tweak your own settings on the editor, and finally you just write to one memory location and it's done. Katana amps has quite a lot hidden features. So if you use the amps, it's okay. You can tweak the sounds. It's pretty easy. No menus. Just, you know, like you don't do in a regular amp, use the knobs and the switches to tweak your tone and save to the settings. But there are some differences between each of the models within the range. Like, for example, in a Katana 50, you don't have all the controls physically on the amp compared to a Katana Artist. So the cool thing, if you open the editor, you have access to quite a lot of things, even on a Katana 50. So just check, there are several tonal options what you can do using the editor. For instance, just very simple, the presence knob, which is there on the Artist model, but it's not there on the Katana 50. But you have access to it within the editor, so you can set it nicely and easily. And there are many options to change your tone with several EQs. For example, there is one contour switch on the EQ section, and these are kind of presets. So we have something like this kind of clean tone, and the green is a more bright stuff. The red is a scoop, like, you know, boosted low, scoop mids, like, and the orange is a mid boost. Okay, if that's not enough, we have a global EQ, which is true for each of your patches, each of your presets. So it's like a global EQ. And also, we have two separate EQs in the FX chain, which is really cool because you can decide if you use one EQ before the preamp and another EQ after the preamp, which means you can totally revoice your amp, like in this example. So I call it the JCM 800 because it sounds pretty much like this. And if we switch off all the EQs, for a switch off both the EQs, it's a weak sound. But with this EQ going into the amp and the other EQ after the preamp, so you can do really drastic changes in your tone. Okay, and what else? You can change the FX chain. So you can change the order of the effects. As you know, we have the modulation blocks and the FX block, and all the effects are quite similar under each of these blocks. So some effects you might want to use before the preamp, and like, for example, a compressor, or like a touch-wah, or an octaver, typically used in front of the preamp. And other stuff like, you know, modulation stuff and this chorus, flanger, phaser, you might want to use after the amp. So that's why it's very handy that you can change the position of your FX blocks with this kind of stuff like this. So it's easy to move the blocks around. Okay, so what else? We have even two delays, which you don't have access on the front panel. So we have a delay reverb, and you can see a delay 2 here, which you can activate, and you can set up really nice ambient tones if you wish. I will show you very soon one. But like, you know, this is one delay here. This is my normal delay. It's a modulation delay. And if I activate a tape echo here with some crazy settings, maybe double the delay time compared to the other one, go up to 800, okay, and so then I can use 2 different delays plus a reverb if I want. With this method, you can customize your amp very nicely to your taste. Then you can save all these settings to the 8 memory locations, and then you're good to go. So you don't need the editor anymore. You are good to go to the stage or the rehearsal room with your katana, which now is totally different than your bandmate's katana, because you customize it according to your taste. And now let me show you an example using some of these custom sounds. Actually, I will loop. This RC tenar is connected to the send return loop of the katana. And now I can use a foot switch to change between different tones and record different tones into the looper. These are my custom tones. The first one is like an ambient tone with 2 delays, reverbs, something like this. The second is a bass, like an octaver. The third one is a kind of slow gear. And the fourth is a nice overdrive mellow. So I'm going to use these 4 different sounds from the katana and loop in the RC tenar. Please enjoy. And now the 3+1, so the +1 advice is about a great add-on, which is an optional accessory for the katana. It's called the GAFC-EX, it's a foot controller, and it's compatible from the Katana 50EX upwards with every katana stagehand. And the reason why I wanted to mention this for you, because I think that's the best add-on for a katana. It's not a simple foot switch, but you can do so many things with it. So obviously it works like a channel selector, so you have 8 memories in a katana, even in the Katana 50EX. However, on the panel you have access to only 4, but with the GAFC you can reach all the 8 memories. So like, you know, this is channel 1, clean, channel 2 like a crunch, channel 3 more drive, channel 4 it's the and to switch to the bank B you need to hold the panel, and then here are my custom tones like the ambient tone, like the bass, like these nice slow gear and the overdrive. Hold the panel again and go back to bank A. So it's really straightforward, but the thing doesn't stop here, because if I push on the effects button, the LEDs turn from red to green, and you can switch on and off individual effects within each of your presets. So this is my normal clean tone with I'm just using a reverb in it, but I can activate the booster. It's like a clean booster, or even a touch wah. Switch off the reverb, switch off the booster. Still in the same preset. Now switch off the touch wah, add the booster, reverb, some delay, and you can have a totally different sound. So now you can use the GFC like you would have a pedal board in front of you. So I think that's a really, really cool feature. And this is not, if it's not enough, there's a third function with the GFC. So if I hold down this FX button, it starts flashing, and now I have access to switch on off the built-in FX send return loop, or even to use a tap delay for the delay. Oh, I need to show it for you, because otherwise you won't believe. So this is the delay, now it's activated. And to add this is the tempo, use the tap tempo, like this. Slower. Cool. But you can do many other stuff. Let me switch off the delay and go back to here. So as you see, I have a volume pedal expression. If you want to have a wah-wah, then add the pedal FX. Switch it off, and now again the expression works like a volume pedal. So I think that's great, and on the top of that, the GFC EX itself is expandable. Now you see the expression pedal, you can connect up to 2 expression pedals. So one you can use for volume, the other one for whammy or wah-wah stuff. And of course, all the effects are in the amp, so no need external stuff. And what's also possible is to use one GFC EX to control 2 Katana amps simultaneously. So you can use 2 Katanas and one GFC to change settings in them or change the channels. And another cool thing, you can link 2 GFCs too. So this one is for the channel switching, and link another GFC for the FX turn on off, like I showed you before. So you can put them on a pedal board and you have a complete setup like this. So that was it from me for today. Hope you found it useful. And please don't forget to visit Muziker's Katana landing page, where you can find some nice read on the Katana amps, and you can learn what are the differences between each of the models. See you next time.